Hey, you're that guy, right? The soldier that can't die.
Yeah, I'm the guy. Look at him. He's just playing it like nice and cool and cocky and everything.
17th Division. That was the front line. They were smack in the middle of the Wool Highlands. No one could have survived that meteor crash.
And yet here I am.
But here you are.
Yep.
Without a scratch.
Beg your pardon, Lieutenant, but it's really strange. The few we were able to save were far from the center of impact. And even those men were seriously injured. It's hard to believe that anyone could have survived that inferno.
Then don't believe it. The Council won't like that attitude. Come on, tell us. How'd you make it?
Don't you guys have more things to focus on? Shouldn't be worrying more about a guy who just completely came out of a meteorite. Completely unhurt. Miss Walker deserved so much more. I can't emphasize that enough, and I'll never emphasize it enough during this playthrough. Ever. Look at that. Nobu. Nobu, the guy who did the music for most of the Final Fantasies, he did it for this. Again. It was supposed to be their Final Fantasy. It had so much potential. Like, I really believe that if they had focused in on this, especially with the failure that was Final Fantasy 13, and obviously that's a matter of opinion. My opinion was 13 was horrible compared to the rest. I enjoyed it, but it was still horrible. But if they had focused in on all these baskets and been like, 13 flopped, and then they're like, well, we got Lost Odyssey 2 coming out. What do you think about that? More people would have been like, yes, please. I will definitely buy an Xbox 360 for the Lost Odyssey. But they didn't, and they gave up too soon. Oh, Microsoft. You sorely disappoint. You have a Game Pass, so you're kind of coming back now, but still. Man. To be fair, for their credit, these titles did not push the system more in the market that they were going for. So, I can see not spending the money in a market that you weren't going for, because it really didn't push more sales. But they're still very memorable. And if they would just give up the license for Lost Odyssey, I think that this game can really have a good comeback.
30 years ago, a new power manifested itself onto the world. With its discovery came the magic industrial revolution. This power came to be called magic energy. Even now, there are none who can explain why this power, a power that merely lay buried within all living creatures, suddenly flourished as it did. Today, this magic energy permeates every corner of the world. It has changed the way people live, transformed the shape of industry, and has even altered the nature of war.
Very heavy Final Fantasy VI references there with the Magitech.
Is it true the Kents have requested a truce? Indeed. We heard that enough men were committed to cover the Wall Highlands and that most of the Kent force were eliminated. This war was started by them. It's only right they withdraw.
We've also lost a tremendous number of troops. After suffering such a devastating loss, if the Goza were to strike now, there would be no way we could defend our country.
And there are also whispers that Goza was pulling strings behind the invasion.
What makes you think that the Goza were involved?
We have confirmed that a large amount of military hardware has been moved from Goza to Kent. We assume Goza plans to use Kent to keep things stirred up and destabilize Ura.
Are you saying that even the meteor crash was a Gotsan plot?
My lord, I have some disturbing information on that subject. We suspect that a situation at Grandstaff may have caused the meteor crash.
Grandstaff. This is not the first time that stories about it have reached my ears.
This is not confirmed, but magic energy may have leaked out of Grandstaff, interfered with something in outer space, and precipitated this disaster.
Gongora,
Yes, my lord.
the Grand Staff falls under your jurisdiction. Do you have anything to say?
Nothing for the moment. Where did you get this information? Construction of Grand Staff is going smoothly.
Now that the forces of Ura have suffered such devastating losses, I think we have no other way to protect our land except with the magic energy that Grandstaff will provide. We should hold off on debating the pros and cons of Grandstaff until we've thoroughly reviewed the world's current situation.
What you say makes sense, but our plan to use magic energy is a double-edged sword. With all sorts of rumors flying around, we might want to halt construction of Grand Staff.
What?
Only temporarily. As soon as it's clear that Grand Staff had nothing to do with the meteor collision, we'll resume construction immediately, Gongora.
Alrighty. So Grand Staff. What is it? What is it doing? So that's a pause. I'm going to try to remember some of the, see if we get a map. What's going up here? Is this the map? It kind of zooms in and out. Oh, that's beautiful. No, seriously, that actually is pretty good and impressive for the time. Alright, boys. Before I go in there, I want to try to look around and see if there's anything, but it's just the monorails. Of course, it's not operational at this time, but it will be when we come back. Maybe, hopefully. And I do hope to see you again. Let's go. We're going to report on our success or failure of our current mission. We're going to save here, basically out of convenience.